Okay, everyone, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the law and ordinance meeting today. So on the agenda, I put golf carts first since that's our newest venture. Did you have any updates, Ms. Mullen?
Not particularly. I looked into our two closest municipalities that allow them, which are Milford and Terrace Park. And they differ a little in how they allow them. What I thought was interesting was that I believe it was in Milford, so it could be Terrace Park, one of them has one street that goes through. I know that a lot of people's concern was Montgomery Road and the safety of Montgomery Road. A few people, emailed me and mentioned that the Montgomery Road is the area that they had concerns about, but unfortunately because it cuts right through, there is kind of an inevitability to pass through it. I think it's Terrace Park, whichever one of them has a 35-mile-per-hour street, they allow them on the 35-mile-per-hour street, but you have to take the next exit off of it. So in Norwood's case, it could be that if we were concerned about the safety of Montgomery Road, it could be that you can intersect Montgomery Road or travel a set distance on Montgomery Road in order to get from like one side to the other and not make it your primary route. So that's something to consider. Milford did not require seat belts, but they do require an inspection by the police department, and then they issue you like a sticker that has to go on the dashboard, and they inspect for brakes, brake lights, turn signals, headlights, a couple other things. So I thought that was interesting. Really, I don't want to move forward with it until we hear from the police department. I think that their input is probably the most valuable, so I would like to.
I had the briefest of conversations with Chief Sumner. He didn't seem excited about it.
Okay.
I think that's fair to say.
Okay.
But again, it was in passing, and it's on my list to follow up. But what I've heard from residents is most people think that it seems like a really interesting idea. I tend to agree. I think it's a really interesting idea. I am concerned about the same things that I think everyone else is concerned about. I know like some people are like, oh, that'd be great to throw the kids on to take them to school, which sounds lovely, except that you can't have children in them because they don't have the capacity to do car seats.
Non-car seat age children are allowed in them.
Right. But if they're not, aren't they walking to school?
Well, and what Milford and Terrace Park had said was like people going to the rec center, people going to the pool, people running to grab a couple groceries, people going to get dinner somewhere. So I don't really foresee this being someone's like exclusive mode of transportation. And I've said this before, but I'm probably going to say it every time we talk about it. If ultimately the decision is that it would not serve the community, then like I am not 100% saying let's absolutely do this. I just think it's worth discussing.
Oh yeah, I agree. And I'm going nuts because I meant to send this to you when I thought of it. Maybe it was Evendale, but I know another municipality technically allows them. And same thing, they just say certain streets. I think like Reading might go through, so they were like, do not put a golf cart on Reading Road. So I could be wrong too, I can't remember. But it was something along those lines where they just had streets where they were like, you may cross the street, you may not ride on this street, which I think would make sense here.
Yeah.
And I feel like Montgomery and, I don't know, maybe like Sherman, Smith might be.
Carthage?
Yeah, I feel like we could pick a handful of streets that are probably not a great idea. But, I mean, I feel like we have enough back roads too where I don't think that would prohibit anybody from getting where they need to go.
The only downside I could see is if there were businesses on Montgomery Road who wanted to benefit from it.
Oh,
like
that's
if
true.
Gordo's wanted to, and
allow
don't get me wrong,
golf carts.
Gordo's has not said a single thing to me about this.
Oh, right, just an example.
If they wanted to like encourage folks to bring them, they are on Montgomery Road.
Sure, I didn't
would
think
that
about
just
that.
be
that's a no,
you
or
have to
is
pop
there?
out on the closest side street?
Right, you have to be on the same block or something.
Yeah, hard to say.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And
Yeah, I didn't think
ultimately,
about
if this
that.
ends up being something that like the legwork is not sustainable,
Right.
then that is what it is.
Right. Okay. So that's our short update.
So what do we want to do? Do we want,
Do you want to keep moving forward?
I think we should
You
talk
want-
to
We'll keep
Chief
it-
Sumner about it, and if that ends up being our hard stop, then great, and if he thinks there's some potential there, then great.
Okay. So the next step will be to speak to the
I think it is
police.
worth exploring.
Okay. Easy enough.
who wants to do that? I just need to know if I'm writing it down.
I can reach out. I actually have a few things I wanted to talk to Chief about, so that'd be fine. And I'll put it on my to-do list this time, so I do not forget. Sorry, everybody. This is how I have to operate to
It's all
get
good.
my stuff done. I wasn't a list person for a long time. Maybe we could ask. I know the police department keeps track of like which roads and intersections, right, have the most traffic accidents. So maybe that's something we could.
I don't know if the police
I thought they
do
did.
that, but that would, I think, be something that we would get with the street study.
Yeah, we could. Yeah,
That's been applied for.
I could be wrong.
And
I could have
that's-
sworn they told me that on a tour, but regardless, we can ask.
It was passed off to Emily, I passed it off to Emily Franzen
Oh.
before I got into this level of weeds on it. But it would be curious if we could pull.
The street
that would be a
setting?
Yeah, it'd be a question to ask her, if that would be something that they could also look at.
Okay, I'll do that then too. Okay, you're right, because that would be a good indication on whether we should go forward or not. Okay, and then lighting ordinance update. I was just, as one does, I was going through our codified ordinances to see if I could find anything super helpful. And I reached out to the building department to see if they could point out any sections to me, and then I was too slow to look that up. But in our codified ordinances, I really just saw lighting, sign lighting regulations, which I feel like we could potentially look into that. I looked, for example, I saw some other cities, just basically, you can leave your light on all night, but you can only use a certain percentage of wattage.
Lumens or something?
I think they were basing it on energy usage, essentially. Like how much power you're allowed to use on the sign. And then there are other municipalities that just say, you know, if your business isn't operating, you have to turn off your signs at a certain point in the night. But I figured, I don't know, maybe we could start there. But
Could
I
the
feel like
law
we should,
department be helpful?
yes, we should talk to them first too. I feel like we just schedule these meetings and none of us get what we need to get done in between. But yeah, most of our sign chapter is pretty, if you guys want the section, it's,
I think maybe the sign chapter needs to be morphed into like a commercial lighting chapter
right.
and sort of be a little more fleshed out about.
So, yeah, if you want to see what we have, you know, what we have on the book so far, it's 1321.10, and it's illumination of signs.
1321.
I know it's very easy to find.
I'm on the building code. I think I
There's
see
Signs.
it.
illumination and then sign
Got it.
standards.
Oh my gosh. And then illumination.
Yes, and then we do have neon regulation.
Now, it does say that any external illumination has to be effectively shielded with no direct light cast
Yes.
into residential.
Yes, so I think that's why they were able to handle the one instance we had with the
Sure.
bright lights. So we do have that at least.
But I don't think that covers the LED lights, right?
Right. We don't have anything regarding LEDs here. We have neon. We've exposed neon tube illumination.
Did Dark Sky give you anything?
I have not reached out to Dark Sky. I'm so
Okay.
sorry. I know you sent me their stuff.
It's okay.
The most I did was late one night scrolling through these ordinances. And then reaching out to the building department to see if I was missing something.
Let me see if I can find them.
I just wanted to see what we had on the books first, I guess, before I reached out to them. And it just took me, I thought it'd be a quick scroll, and that was not the case. 'Cause
Rarely
it's
it's the case, yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's really all we have regarding commercial lighting. So, I mean, it's a pretty short, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. Yeah. But that way, I guess we have at least our starting points, and I can reach out to Dark Sky with what we have now. But yeah, in theory, what we have now should shield residences from being lit up by commercial businesses.
Dark Sky does have a MLO, a model lighting ordinance.
I have looked at that. I'm not gonna, I think when I looked at it previously, I was,
Not,
yeah, a lot of that jargon I was not super familiar with. Yeah, like the
use of ANSI IES-TM-15-20 bug, backlight, uplight, and glare classifications for outdoor lighting fixtures. No
Yeah.
uplight fixtures.
Yeah. So that was one of the reasons I reached out to them first, because I was like, it'd be great if we could have someone come chat and explain these things to us a little more clearly. Just because I know no one on here is an expert.
What would happen if we gave it to the law department and said, what do you think?
I think
Was
they
that-
might have some of the same questions we do,
Okay.
is my concern. But I'm fine with reaching out. Or we could, pick through that and see if we think anything is not easy, but, a not too dramatic.
So the lower fruit.
Yes. But yeah, that's all I have, was that basically we don't have too much on the books for commercial lighting. I mean, I would say enough to, shield residences from unnecessary lighting, but it's really all we have. Did you guys want to add anything? I mean, we do need to reach out to Dark Sky for sure.
No, I think I know that a lot of the concern that we had was with the kind of hung LED neon style
Right.
signs. Under 1321.11 is sign standards, and I wonder if that wouldn't fall under temporary signage.
Oh, like the LED signs?
And so I wonder if there isn't something we could add to that to address those.
That's a good question, because if it's just string lights, right, is that signage or is that just lighting?
But also the like neon style LED
Yeah.
kind of hanging signs in the windows.
Well, and yeah. So you're right. I
This
guess
does say that no single electronic message is permitted to be repeated by flashing, fading, dissolving, traveling, or scrolling more than once every 16 seconds.
Yeah, we don't have any of that. We just have the really bright.
Maybe the electronic messaging centers. I would love to see more defined. I'm not sure what qualifies as.
right.
Because this also says the number of signs is permitted to 1 per storefront.
Yes.
But how
But-
is that interpreted?
Right, and like what counts as just advertising
Right.
versus signage. So we might want to talk to the law department before, or maybe we invite, Keith or Tim to the next meeting to discuss.
Yeah.
Because I'll admit, I don't know.
There's also
I think the
here
most I did in law school
portable signs.
regarding signage was, free speech and constitutional law, so that's not really related here. Okay, so should we invite, so the goal for the next one could be I reach out to Dark Sky finally, because we have a contact now. And we could invite Keith or Tim to take a look with us and see what might be feasible within what we already have. And I guess maybe I don't want to anyone here to single out businesses, but maybe because I know some of the locations we're talking about, but I guess we should pinpoint. I know it's like the LED lights, but are we upset with how bright they are, or how quick they're flashing? Because now
They're not flashing at all.
it's
They're
just how bright they are in general.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be a question for who's at Dark Sky, the best way to measure LED radiance.
Yeah, because
whatever
the
you may say.
LED radiance is a different measurement
Than normal.
Than neon.
This is more than I thought I would ever know.
I know,
honestly,
it's
about
crazy.
about electronics and lights. Okay, so we will. I'm so sorry. This is so slow moving on my part. I feel like.
That's all good.
Okay, so reach out to the law department. Oh, hi, Keith. Speak of the devil.
No. We
Yes,
were
we're in a
just
committee
saying we
meeting.
were going to invite you to the next meeting.
What do we want to talk about?
Well, we're still in the meeting, so.
Lighting.
Yes. Um,
He
see,
sounds
I told you.
excited. He's so excited.
I said I said this maybe is new a frontier for you guys. That's what it's for us. Okay. Okay. And then the next thing I had on the agenda, while I was scrolling for our lighting ordinance, I found that we have an ordinance regarding pool hall licenses. So
Tell us what a pool house is for those young ones who don't know.
who haven't seen The Music Man. Let me get to our title. It's chapter 715 for anyone at home who's also pulling up code sections. In our business regulation code. And it's right before the pinball machine section. Oh my gosh, well now I can't, there it is.
Remove it? Didn't
We repealed pinball, but it's still in there as a repealed statute.
Gotcha.
So this is basically pool hall and saloon regulations that were passed. The original sections were passed in 1922. My initial concern was there seems to be a citizenship requirement for it, also part of the 1922,
To own a pool hall?
to get a license to have a pool table or billiard table within your establishment.
Are we currently enforcing licensing?
So I reached out to Noah because this says to reach out to the director of public safety, so I assume that meant safety service director at this point in time. I reached out. Apparently, the pool hall licenses were on the same sheet as the pinball licenses. So since we got rid of the pinball statute, no one's been filling out the sheet for the pool tables either. So since 2023, we have not issued a pool hall license. And per the statute, I think you're supposed to renew it every year for a $50 fee, which seems steep for the year it was passed.
Why do we feel that we need to, do you feel that we do not need to have that?
Mr. Powers indicated he doesn't feel this is necessary.
I would also be of
Yes.
mind that this is not necessary.
Other municipalities do have it, but again, I don't know if they're enforcing it. I know like Cincinnati has a pool, you're supposed to get a license for a pool table, but I don't know if they're enforcing theirs, but yeah, so I think given that we have not issued any since 2023,
When was the last
This
time
also
we
says
did
that
one?
no one under the age
No.
of 18 should be allowed to play pool
in a saloon,
Mm.
I believe,
or public place.
or public place, all right.
I
So,
don't-
yeah, I feel like some of this might be outdated,
I would
just
say
in my
a
humble
bit.
opinion. I didn't know, actually, I was gonna double check with the law department, I didn't know if there was a secret, some story, for some reason we have this still, but,
I think this is just like pinballs.
Just an old
It was
one?
the pinball one. It's based on mob activity
yeah.
in the 40s and 50s and
Right.
60s, and actually there was some of that activity.
It seems to
in
be
the
aimed at
60s, and
stopping
so,
gambling.
And so, yes,
Yeah.
it's very much a gambling.
Which
and,
we-
and juvenile delinquents, which would be the 18 limit and
Yeah.
things like that, which that's not really where our problems lie today.
You don't think there are juvenile delinquents hanging out in billiard rooms?
No, I think they have other places that they congregate.
Where they get delinquent.
Right, so,
Yes,
and I
so,
don't think we have any. I wish we did. I'd love to go play pool. Or like, there's no place to take my kid and go play pool, even
they
if he
have-
was 18, right? There's
Well,
not,
I
you
think
know,
the Wood
there's.
Bar has-
it
The
used
Wood
to
Bar
be
has a
like
pool
21,
table.
but they're
Yeah.
21 and up.
yes.
Nowhere where a kid could go.
A kid could
Yeah,
go play
There
pool.
was a
Exactly.
pool table in, sorry.
Well, this way, if the community center wants to have a pool table, they will legally be able to have
They
one now.
could.
So, yeah, as long as everybody here is fine with it.
I'm great with
I'm
it.
fine with it.
I'm
I think
gonna
it sounds
propose we
phenomenal.
I don't think
repeal.
we need extraneous
I was just, if nothing else, I was
legislation.
like, I felt we should get rid of the citizenship requirement
And
for
the fee.
many reasons.
Yeah.
So, all right, easy enough. And I'm glad there's no reason we, felt we should keep it, so. All right, that's all I have on the agenda.
Sounds great to me.
Okay, so next one, we will keep golf carts, we'll keep the lighting ordinance. And we'll see what else pops up in the meantime. Do we want to schedule out, or would we rather schedule when we have updates for these things?
I would say let's get some updates.
Yeah.
And then.
I'm fine with that.
Flexible, yeah.
That way I'm not showing up with very few updates every time. Okay, and I'll just reach out when we want to schedule our next one. Or, we are called upon for service. I think we're all done, Steve.